You might see what happens here in the next 5 to 6 weeks, and it completely blows you out psychologically, and you can't focus because the stress is too high. And trading, you won't be able to focus on trading because you're worrying about external issues that are real tangible issues because you have a family to take care of. And you're going to tell yourself, I need, no, you don't. I have to, no, you don't. No, you don't. None of you have to trade ever. None of you need the next trade to be a winner. That's just you saying that. If you never found investing or trading, you wouldn't say things like that. But because you knew the opportunity is there and you see the influence of other people saying, look at my payout. Look at my payout. They're doing that because they're signaling because they need attention. They need to remind themselves that it's like a pinch for them because they can't believe they just did that. They cannot believe they just pulled that off. And that's why they're sharing it online. Someone that is come to terms with themselves, they have confidence in themselves. They are not doing, here's how much money I made. Here's how much money. Look at me. Look over here. Hey, you over there. I know you don't even trade, but stop for a second. Look what the fuck I just did. Look at that, bro. Come at me. Nobody cares that much. Nobody cares that much. But if someone will like that comment or retweet it or give you an attaboy, attagirl, that means more than what you just made in money. That means more than what you earned in your trading. Tell me how that makes fucking sense. Some of you are sitting there laughing to yourself like, yeah, that's exactly what the hell's going on when I do it. I never thought about that either. Right. Because your shit's all twisted. Your perspective's all messed up. You're not in the market to impress people. You're not here to impress people. You're not in here to entertain people. You're not in here to measure up against somebody else. You got ends to meet. And when you're making bread on the constant, when you're in here making money, putting your nose to the grind, minding your own fucking business, making money, you don't give two shits what people think. You don't care because you've been doing it. It's an everyday thing. It's another fucking Tuesday to me. Okay. It's all it is. It's another fucking Tuesday, nothing different. It's a different paycheck, a different income increase. And I didn't have to do anything different. But you complicate the things emotionally and psychologically by inviting other people's opinion about what you did. And if you know what you're doing works, why are you posting what you made? Because you need that stimuli. You need that little soft hand touching the back of your hand saying, you know what, honey, you just did something real impressive. Any chance you and I get hooked up? Because I've been looking for a man like you, and you seem to have a mastery over money. I need a daddy. I need a daddy in my life. That's what you want. That's what you young men want. You want that shit. When you should be out there looking for a woman that makes her own money. Because that's sexy as fuck. Find a woman that can carve out 6 figures or higher in her own hands, and she turns to you and say, you know what? You're attracted to me. When you're making the same kind of bread or more, that is a match made in heaven. Because if one equity earner is greater than the other, and it's the female, little dick complex comes out. Men that trade with less ability than a woman that can do it, that is a failed, doomed relationship. Women, take note of that. Men, fix your shit. So instead of looking for someone that's lesser than yourself so they can look at you and say, I need to stay with him. I'll do all his bidding because he makes a lot of money and I want to keep him because he's my daddy. That's not relationship security. That's a problem. Fuck that. Strong partner that's not going to lean on you because they need you in codependency. You want them to encourage you and feel like, you know what? They're not here for what I have, but they're here to invest in what we have, what we can put together as a corporate entity, as a family element, a unit of unity, not taking something from somebody else in the relationship and saying, well, that's the way it works. He makes more money, so therefore he should. Fuck you. You don't owe that woman any more money because your relationship is together. And women, you don't have to support that deadbeat either. You might find him attractive. You might love him in other things. But if he's a deadbeat, that's not marriage material. That's not fucking marriage material. And these are all the same reoccurring things. I see students going through this all the time. You can make a lot of money as a trader and have a failed personal life. Hanging around with women that are gold digging motherfuckers, hanging around men that are gold digging motherfuckers. It goes both ways. When you should be looking for individuals that are strong, successful, independent minded, because if they choose to be with you and they recognize you as someone worth being with, it's a real testimony. It's not lying. It's not just saying, whatever you want to hear just to get something from you, because they have their own bread. If they're making bread and you can get with them and they find equality in you in terms of seeing you as something worth being with, man, that's a match made in heaven. That means the real affection, the real draw for one another being together, that's a real thing. And it's not external to money. And that is peace of mind being in a relationship like that. That is a very strong relationship. And you're there because you want to be there. And they're in it because they want to be in it. You'll have no second guessing about why they're with you. Young men, they have a lot of money, they spend them on the women. And there's a certain type of woman out there that'll just be around you. You're ugly as a fucking toe. But guess what? She's hanging on your arm because you're spending money on her. You're giving her something to do and you're funding it. And it makes her feel like, wow, I got a wallet with two legs. And all I gotta do is entertain them for a little while. Who gives a shit? That's an opportunistic person. And it happens with men too. I have students that do very, very well that are female and they have been attracted to young men that look well. They go to the gym, they take care of themselves, but they don't make money. They're deadbeats. They have a job for a little while, they lose their job, and they chase after those types of relationships, just like a retail trader chases after flawed logic. Who's the fault? Who's the fault in that problem? The person that's trying to make something that's toxic good, calling it good. But I love them. No, you don't. You're obsessive. There's something wrong with you that you view that person who is not good for you, it's toxic, just like that bad trading methodology, the things that you think causes markets to go up and down. You subscribe your opinion to it, and you place emphasis on things that have no bearing on your outcome being successful as a relationship or the outcome being successful as a trader. You're the root cause of the problem. You have bad decision making, but you don't recognize it. So you could be making lots of money. And I've created wonderfully profitable students, but their lives personally are fucking train wrecks. And some of them listening are cringing at because you're afraid I'm going to mention your name. I would never say your name. But it's on both sides of the spectrum. I've had students that came up in my mentorships, married couples. They went in with the idea, we're going to learn how to do this and we're going to make our family stronger. And we're going to teach our kids this and yada, yada, yada. Wonderful. And one of them starts doing really well. And generally, it's the man. Good relationship that they felt they were strongly knitted together about this, bring in children into the relationship. Now, all of a sudden, this young man is now making $100,000 a month. Spendable money, not demo. And he says, I got to go. I don't want to be in this anymore. And he's out chasing tail, living stupid. And I'm consoling the woman in the relationship. And that stole her joy. That stole her passion for wanting to do it, doesn't want to do it anymore. And she can't bring herself to do it anymore. She can't study anymore because the only thing she can think of is how this man has stole her dream, ripped her heart out of her chest, see the market or trading as a vehicle for her success or happiness. She sees it as now it's the reason why she's unhappy. What's wrong with that situation? She's allowing a little dick energy boy, not a man. He's a fucking boy, and he's my student, and he knows exactly who the fuck I'm talking to. I don't give a fuck. You are a piece of shit. You're a worthless fucking piece of shit. You're never going to find happiness doing what you're doing. And what you're going to end up hooking up with, you're going to get with one that's craftier than you. And they're going to hook you up for an 18-year plan. And you may not be with them, but you're going to be forced to pay for a child that's going to be raised by somebody else and you're going to have to fund that because you're doing things stupid. And young lady, if you were like that, you found yourself in that situation, similar things like that, or you're in an abusive relationship and you're looking for this to get you out of it, I'm praying for you. I believe that you'll be able to do it. But what happens if it's already happened to you and you've lost this passion to not want to do it anymore because you went into it as a partnership and your partner left you? And now you're left with grief. You're left with this uncertainty of what your future is going to be because you have based your future around this person being part of it. It was 50% of that family element, that unit that you were forging together. Well, first of all, you have to give them permission to have made that bad decision on their own. And it has nothing to do with you. They have control over their decision making. You don't. And if they made the decision to leave, then they left. You can't make them come back. And why would you want them back? It's a bad trade. Let the stop out happen. It stopped out for a reason. They did you the biggest favor in the world because what they showed you was a lie. And you're worth more than that. You're worth better than that. So return your focus back to yourself. It's not selfishness. Build yourself up. Build yourself up and focus on the things that you're going to find as strengths. And then what will happen is you will become better equipped to look at that and say, you know what? I know that I didn't cause that man or that woman to make the decision to leave. They are weak and they needed those things to chase after. I'm going to work on myself because I know there's someone that's in offing, some in the future that I'm going to meet. And I'm going to be in a better position psychologically, emotionally, and financially where I won't need anybody. I don't need to be with anyone financially. And when they find worth and value in me, and I find worth and value in them, I will have another opportunity to form something that's strong, that's unique, that is wholesome. And my mental health, my emotional health, my financial well-being will not be in jeopardy because I've made a poor decision rushing into some kind of relationship because I need some companionship. It's not trusting your partner. It's not being in. And you probably never considered all these things. But that's the making money, or they make a decision to go in here and start doing it. And one of the partners in that relationship finds success and they start thinking, wow, I can get more attention, more sex from another person or just one person who they accepted as this is my life partner right now while I'm able to do week to week living. But now they can make a lot of money. They don't see that person as valuable anymore. But that means they never loved you. That means they never loved you. So don't waste any more emotion. Don't waste any more time. Let them go. Wish them well and start fresh. Living in that regret is like holding on to regret and drawdown and saying, I'm never going to be able to be a better trader because I lost money or I blew an account or I lost my combine or I failed a combine. How you think about these things is going to weigh heavily on what you do in the future. And because you're doing things that are speculative, that has a monetary reward or punishment if it's incorrect, doesn't it mean that you should be guarding your mind, staying out of social media bullshit, staying out of toxic relationships, staying out of bars on the weekend and clubs, meeting people that genuinely are not favorable for you? When you're going to these things on the weekend and you're spending what you work so hard for all week long, there's no guarantee that person you're trying to pay drinks for is going to be your spouse. And some of you don't care. I don't want a spouse. I just want a hookup. Well, what happens if you get more than a hookup? You have a problem. And ladies, you know what you do. You go to the bars and all you have to do is flirt and you can drink for free all night. That's not right either. You should learn how to make your own money and go there. If you want to drink, pay your own bill. And if you're smart, financially literate, you can have all that shit as a write-off. But financial literacy is something that most people never find an interest in being well equipped. It's all that image. It's all about living in the moment right now. You can't take it with you. Yeah, but you got to have class while you have it here. Otherwise, it's separated from you quickly. A fool and his money is soon separated. In trading, it's the same. And you should not be romancing the uncertainty. You never know how long you're going to have it. So you might as well enjoy it and splurge and spend and do dumb shit with your money. That's stupidity. That's dumb. And I'm hoping now that my son Caleb has passed his Top Step combine, he's he did a $50,000 combine. So now he told me he paid for the activation of it. So hopefully he'll do well going forward. I told him, I said, your goal is to trade one contract, just one contract, and you're trying to do 50% up to 100% of what your gross income is. You're not trying to make more than that. You're not trying to roll the account up. All you're trying to do is prove to yourself doing the very little that is required to replicate what you're earning over 50 plus hours a week. He commutes out of our state to go to his job. And then at the end of the week, he has rotating days. He never has static days off. That's uncomfortable. As his dad, that's uncomfortable. So it took him being in this situation to want to do this. It wasn't enough for him to watch me be successful with it, make other people successful with it, growing up in it. He wasn't inspired by that. So I make my children work and I allow them to make decisions where they feel the pain of that. And now he has the unique perspective of what I do forward from here changes for better or keeps it as it is. And he should not be taking crazy risks. He should not be trying to trade more than what's required. He's going to be operating in those first few hours of the day. By 11 o'clock, he's done. And he's focusing on the things I'm teaching in this 2024 mentorship. He's not trying to reinvent the wheel. He's not trying to trade the PM session. He's not trying to trade the London session. He's not trying to trade the Asian session. He's trying simply to trade inside of a small little window of time. Looking for a very simple procedure. Where is that first presented fair value gap? Where is a clustering of new day and or new week opening gaps? And do they converge around an old high or an old low that matches the opening range bias based on that gap? That is not ambiguous. That is absolutely specific. And all he's doing is simply waiting for these ingredients to come together so that way his recipe for blue ribbon living, doubling his income, keeping his job until he earns enough money that he has 2 years of what he earns in cash. Then he needs about $50,000 in funding, and he'll trade that through a broker. Now, his plan is, this is what we set up, he has no interest in going into a live account for them. So he's trying to get to $10,000. When he makes $10,000, he's cashing out. He's taking that $10,000 and he's putting it in a real brokerage. Then he's going to trade that account up to what I just described. He's not rushing. He's not trying to go crazy pyramiding. He's just constantly just building it. After 2 months, I would like for him to go from trying to just get to $1,000 a week, which is what he grosses at his job. He actually grosses just below $1,000. He doesn't even really make $1,000, but it's like $980 some dollars, $990, something like that. That's what he earns. That's not a lot of money, but the good side, the upside is he doesn't need to do much to make that same amount of money trading. Now, for some of you, you think, wow, $1,000 a week. If I could do that, I would be successful because you're never making profitable. consistent weeks, are you? You might make a money here, might make a little bit of money there. Maybe you had a payout or two, but you end up blowing the accounts when you get back in there and try to do it again. You'll pass combines easily. I can pass a combine in 2 days, man. And when you get the funded account, what do? You shit the bed. Why? Because you're in a rush to make money, more money than you need right now. Who said you have to make $10,000 this month? Who said you have to make $5,000? Who says you have to make $1,200 today in this trade? You did. Nobody gave you that idea. You did. So I'm giving Caleb the goal. I'm giving Caleb the expectation to just simply take the trades that's given to you. Don't think about how much money you have to make that day, because you don't know what that framework's going to yield to you. Every trade is going to have a potential to make different amounts of money and different risks involved. So you have to just submit yourself to whatever the market is giving you that day based on the framework, that first fair value gap. Are we gapping opening higher? Okay, great. If the gap opening higher is occurring, that means your 30-minute bias inside the opening range is bearish. And you're going to try to use that first presented fair value gap as something to go short in. Is that hard? Is that logic that's complicated or complex? Nope. Mm-mm. And then I'm going to teach him to focus on a new week opening gap or new day opening gap clustering where there's several of them, and below an old low or relative equal lows. And that's his terminus. That's where it's going to draw to. That's not ambiguous. That's not something that's constantly evolving and changing. It's never ascertainable and never be able to see it in the charts. It's not hidden from him. It's not hidden from you now. That's his model. And you've been watching all the individual components deliver every single day in live stream. He has to be able to do that in his own hands. Now, he's going to have some problems. He's going to lose. He's going to take some losses and whatnot. And it's good for him to have that. I could sit there and tell him over his shoulder right now and say, push the button now, put your stop here, take your target there. I could do that. I could tell him, this is what you do, and we can run the account up to $20,000 in the first week. And it'd be no problem at all. Easy, easy, easy. But that's not teaching him. I need him to feel the weight of driving back and forth to that job, having those rotating days off, because that's the motivator. That's what got him to the party here. And if I remove that real quick, he's going to get comfortable. He's going to get lazy. I don't want that. I need him to be salty about where he works. He's thankful he has the job, but he does not like it. I don't like it for him. I can't wait for him to get better at what he's trying to do here. Because then once he has that under his belt, he'll never have a job again. He'll never think, I hope I get hired for this job. He'll never have that thought process. He'll be unemployable. He will not be someone that can be bought for exchange for time. And when someone has that, when they have that perspective on their own being, their self-worth, that is wonderful. Because no company could pay me enough to go to work for them. And that's how you should think about yourself. You're such a wonderful enterprise, such a high-end yielding income enterprise. You Incorporated. You're so fucking amazing. You're so well equipped and financially literate that you can go out there and carve your own existence out financially. You don't need to have a job. But you've been lied to since grade school that the American dream is to get a good education, get yourself a good job, buy yourself a 30-year mortgage, and you're happy. That is not what it is. Happiness is being your own person, a free person, someone that's not tethered to someone else like a slave master and says, you must perform this or you're worth nothing to me. You're useless to me unless you come to work on time. And when I call you to work, better fucking show up. If you don't show up on time, I'm going to punish you. I'm going to dock you. I'm going to reprimand you. That's a slave master. There's no other way around that. That's exactly what that is. You are a slave. You are a slave. You're all on the same plantation. And I was on the plantation too. but I broke and ran. Every time that hammer came down and I'm doing the master's labor, selling my time for far too little money, giving up time with my own kids that I can't get back. Every other instance, I'd hit the hammer at work and then I'd hit the hammer on that chain. And over time, I weakened that. At time for me to run and I had the opportunity to break away from that shit, I did. And I never fucking looked back. Fuck. How anybody thought of how I did it. I didn't care. I had to get off that plantation. I had to get out of there. I couldn't do it anymore. Kids work because they have to have that. When they get that in their system, they can't stand it, that they're being prostituted for far too little money, being controlled and told, you must do this or you're worthless to me. Bitch, you're useless to me as an employer. I don't care about you. I don't care about your company. You ain't my future. I got to go. We're divorced. You're based on what kind of stimuli? Is it based on the model that you're trading? Or are you basing it on what are you going to do? Start learning how to be financially literate, to learn how to replace your job. It does take a long time for you to stop thinking stupid shit and repeating stupid shit and telling yourself eventually it's going to give you a different result. I did it as a young 20-year-old. Be a different result. I did it as a young 20-year-old. I kept telling myself the things I was doing, I was going to break it. It wasn't going to break me. And the only thing it was doing was allowing the thing that I thought I was avoiding. And the only thing it was doing was allowing the thing that I thought I was avoiding, which was the accounts. Every single time I would go in there, try a new method, try a new method, try a new concept, tinker this, tinker that, take this away, change the settings, start another book, use a different book, use a different author, different methodology, put pieces of this it needs right now. But most of you probably don't even making $50,000 a year. But I promise you, they're scared shitless. They're stressed out. They're thinking about that shit before they go to bed, and they're thinking about it before they wake up. That's not what trading's supposed to be. That's gambling. What trading's supposed to be. That's gambling. And you Incorporated is not a casino. And many of you Incorporated is not a casino. And many of you are treating your trading like casino, where you're just, and worst case scenario, I just got to pay for resets. How about have one account? Have one account where you only got to worry about that one account. Grow it soundly. Build the experience without having greed attributed to it, because when you don't know how to trade well and you compound it by having 10, 15, 20 accounts, and then add to it even more that you're trading with other prop firms in addition to that, you're trying to get the maximum. If a trader's really, really well versed in trading and they have that much quote unquote capital, there should be no reason why they should be shut out of their account. Like I've had students already have happened to them. They make too much money and the fund account companies say, all right, it's time to go. Okay, pay me out. Have a good life. See you later. They should be able to do that quickly. But you see them constantly rotating through resets. And the reason why they're doing that is because they're compounding the degree of difficulty with the inherent risks. Instead of saying, I'm going to trade with one contract. I'm going to trade with one contract, and I'm going to focus on being excellent about my trading with one contract. And then get good at that. And then what you've done is you replaced any opportunity for greed or performance fear and anxiety, living up to expectations that the social media crowd would want of you. Everybody's got to be a multimillionaire payout now, or you're not the king of trading. You're not the GOAT of trading. Anybody, and even though you just recently saw somebody using my concepts do it, the aspects of over leveraging, anybody can do that. They can find themselves in a parlayed over leveraged stream of trades where it just happened to yield out a very large payout. But can it be done again? Can it be replicated again? There's other prop firms out there. Can it be done again? Or one of those instances, once in a lifetime, everything fell in favor. The market was just moving so heavy-handedly, and then there you go. It just popped out like it's supposed to magically appear. I don't want my trading like that. You shouldn't want your trading like that. As much as it is nice to have $1 million, but $1 million is not that much money. You can spend $1 million real fast. In fact, I've spent $1.7 million just this year. Hello. Things cost. Things cost, and helping other people, they cost too. And when you have a skill set that can replace that whenever you want it to be there, you can just reach out and pluck it off the money tree. Sounds scammy, doesn't it sound scammy? that someone would tell you, hey, I'm gonna give you the seeds, okay, but your job is to plant it in fertile ground, not sand. You have to go out there and find fertile ground, and that fertile ground is you. You're the fertile ground. But if you're stony ground or sand, good seeds are not going to take root in that. That means you're going to try to do something too fast without taking roots. You're going to not water it. That means you're not going to encourage yourself with your journal. You're not going to give it sunlight. That means you're not going to allow your positive reflections to encourage you when you feel like you're not doing enough, or if you have a setback, a little drought period when there ain't no rain. Because I have a voice now. I can tell you that, yes, it's hard in the beginning. Yes, it's going to feel like you're never going to get there. Yes, no one's going to adequately support you or believe in you. They're not going to, but you have to. And there's a certain way of doing it correctly that I believe it could foster that right mindset and cultivate that mindset ongoing. But it's going to take a lot of effort for you to do it. And it's going to be easy for you to look for distractions, weekend living, chasing a significant other, thinking that you need that more than you need making money and trading. You're lonely. You've been by yourself and you want someone else in your life. And trading's interesting for a little while, but when the charts get closed, who are you nestling up with at nighttime? Who are you falling asleep in the arms of? Who are you waking up to and greeting with a smile? That's an ache for you. That's an absence and void that you're trying to fill. Maybe you're not equipped to be in that yet. And maybe this is just one catalyst that's going to propel you into a position where you're going to finally meet the right person that is best suited for you. But you wouldn't recognize them, or they wouldn't recognize your value and worth because you're not presently there. Everything happens on a timing that you can't recognize happens. It goes along with the same thing when people ask, how long is it going to take for me to be profitable? I don't know. It happens differently for everyone. But it's directly related to how you think and how you study. What expectations are you placing on yourself? The ones that have very, very reasonable expectations, they're the ones that do the best in terms of timeline, the learning curve, the amount of time. But the ones that have really astronomical results in mind that they think that they have to do some Olympic feat, they're the ones that many times are having still never met a string of profitability yet, because they're trying to do something external than other than finding a model that repeats in tape reading, not demo trading. And then when they find it in tape reading, then forward test it with a demo for months and be bored with that. Oh yeah, I've done it 6 times in the last 2 days. I'm bored with this. It's time for me to start trading with real money. No, you're not ready. When you feel like you have done enough of demo trading with your model and it's consistent, you know what you're doing, you're not surprised by what price is doing, and then you don't care ultimately about the money, but you're going to go into trading a account that yields payout money, something you can trade with a funded account, or if you're putting real money into an account. When you are bored with the demo trading, but you're going to go into it no matter what anybody else would tell you, you're going to do it, but you're only going to trade with one contract and you're going to stick with that and you actually do that, not trade with more. If your mindset is like that, that is usually where I would agree, but I don't ever tell anybody when to trade with real money. But that would be where we would agree at that time that it's probably sometime at that moment or in the near future, you're probably going to want to transition to trading with real money. But you're going to know when that happens because no one's going to tell you you're not going to. You've exhausted all the time and interest in doing it in demo only, and you're consistent with it. You're not impulsively pushing the button. You're not romancing the uncertainty. You're embracing that uncertainty. You have tools, you have protocols and things that you trust that deliver. Not perfect, and that you're not going to be. It yields a high degree of probability that is in your favor. So therefore, by repeating and following that same logic, it's reasonable to assume that as long as you don't put exorbitant risk on your trades, you could have a positive outcome. And over time, that positive outcome with one contract can be parlayed up into more contracts used, but the risk never increases percentage-wise. Settle in on 1.5% as a maximum risk. If you're really, really good, trade with a half a point of 1% risk when you're first starting with real money. But you're going to say, but I can't make a lot of money doing that. You're a fucking liar. You're a liar. You can make lots of money with that. You can make lots of money with that. You don't understand compound interest. Compound interest is a factor that does all the heavy lifting. You can start with 1/10 of 1%. Just starting and being consistent over time, the compounding effects of increasing as you make more, it's exponential. It literally starts going vertical the longer you keep doing the consistent application of what it is that you found profitability in. It doesn't matter how much you start with. It doesn't matter how much you risk in the beginning if it's small risk. That small risk does more heavier lifting 6 months down the road, 1 year down the road. And inside of 18 months, any of you that have a consistent application of a model that you've framed out and you're sticking to those models and you're now learning when to be disappointed, but I would be in his ass saying, what does it feel like right now? How does it feel? Insurance. It's your cushion. That is your fuck you money. That is your, when Carl says, hey, we're short on people, the boss said he'll come back with a raise. Fuck you, Carl, and tell that boss to fuck himself too. That's what that is. That's fuck you money. That's you, I ain't got to do anything today money. And that includes trading at the top of the list. So when you see your setups, are you comfortable with letting those setups go when you're in a position where you have to make money? Think about that now. See, you're all in a rush to skip through all the required necessities payout. Even $100,000 payout isn't going to make you consistently profitable and able to quit your job. I promise you, do some work and look at these individuals that made these really big payouts. Some of them have been very honest, and I have a lot of respect for that. They come out and they said, look, I made a lot of money. I got some really big payouts. And then I don't know what's happening. I just can't make any money. I keep failing. I keep failing this. I keep failing that. So what are they feeling? I guarantee you they probably made the change and this is all they're going to do for money. And now they have performance anxiety. And that's perfectly normal. It's perfectly normal. That's the expectation that I would have, and anybody else that's been trading with real money for a long period of time. That's what we expect when we see people rushing into live trading with no job. That's the outcome that you expect, but you don't expect that when you're doing it. You expect that, well, fuck this, I ain't got to get a job, and I can just sit around and make shit. If I make $1,000 a day, I'm good. $1,000 a day keeps the job away, right? But funny things happen where all of a sudden you start thinking about, I have to be profitable. And now you've changed the whole dynamic. You have nothing in the bank as a nest egg. You have no fuck you money. You have just what's in your account. And now you must get a job or you must be perfect in your trading. You just now increase the level of difficulty in trading to ludicrous levels. Now you have made trading so much more difficult than it needs to be. And that battlefield that's in between your ears, inside your mind right now, your head's going to swirl. You're going to be anxious. You're going to lose sleep. Your health's going to deplete. You're not going to want to go to the gym. You're not going to want to exercise. If you're in a relationship, it's going to suffer. You're going to gain weight. You're going to lose weight. You're not going to be in the right state of mind. And you're going to be doing the same thing every day that does nothing that improves your financial position. In fact, it's going to be the opposite. What did you do wrong? You didn't fucking listen. You didn't prepare for success. You didn't build a nest egg. You didn't get 2 years of living expenses. You didn't have adequate funding for trading. And you rushed into wanting to quit your fucking job. Your job right now is necessary. It's a necessary evil. Manage Carl how you need to manage Carl. Don't get fired. Don't create more drama for yourself. Drama makes trading harder. Income-based trading is harder than speculative trading while you're making your bread with a job. It's easy to take that next trade when you have a job. Even though you hate the job, it's easy to take that next trade, even if it was a losing trade. Because what are you thinking? If I blow out, all I got to do is pay for another reset. But you are not going to think that way when you're trading for a living and you don't have a nest egg of 2 years of living expenses and you're not properly funded. You're not going to think that at all. You're like, fuck. Man, I gotta, I need to make some money, and you're going to take big risks. I'm going to do 15 accounts linked together, and I'm going to do 15 contracts, and I'm going to try to just get a big payout. I need to pad my pockets out. That's wrong too. That's stupid thinking. That's toxic thinking. That's financially illiterate. That's someone that has no idea what the fuck they're doing with money. And you're making it harder for yourself. So you absolutely have to do for a living. Do you think that you're not trading for a living when you're working your job and you're building up a nest? You would never get my fucking time because I wouldn't have much to give to you. I have a lot of free time. So I make allowances for things like this as a teacher, as a mentor, and it's not monetized. In my mind, it's monetized because I know that what I'm telling you is to have this given to me. I would have loved to have someone cheerlead me and tell me, how should I be thinking about money? How should I be thinking about how I make money? How should I be thinking about myself as a corporate entity? How can I enterprise how can I enterprise myself so that way when I spend money, everything I spend is tax write-off and I diminish my taxable income instead of saying, I'm gonna have a really good paying job. Fuck your high paying job. When you buy gas and you buy food and you travel, you're paying all that fee and you're still paying the income taxes based on what you made in income. I'm not doing that. I'm paying less taxes than these people that make lots of money in their professional careers. I'm paying less taxes than them. I'm being paid to go on vacation. I'm being paid to go out to find members and talk about business for 5 minutes and then I'm done. Hey, how's business? How's trading? How's this? How's that? Talk about it for a few minutes, blah, blah, bing, there it is. It's a write-off. If I have something catered, it's 100% write-off. When you have a function for your family, you can't write that off. It's just coming out of your pocket because you're financially illiterate. Most people are not told these things. They're not taught. They're not aware that there's a way that you can live your life as a corporate entity. You're an enterprise. When you live differently like that, everything you do, you're rewarded with having to pay a less tax bill because you're spending the money. Well, when you have a job and you have more money, than most people because you have a high paying job, yeah, you're spending money too. Most people do. They like to keep up with the Joneses, the expression is, trying to live up to the expectations of looking equal, if not better, than your neighbors. There ain't nobody in my fucking neighborhood's got as much money as I got. None of them. And I'm not trying to content. I spend most of my days in pajamas, walking around in my house, doing what the fuck I want to do, being introverted. I'm an introvert. I'm not a person that runs around and tries to get attention. I don't care what people see me have or what they think I should have. I'm comfortable in my own skin. Some of you aren't going to be like that. Some of you want to be extroverts. You want to be out there in everybody's face with what you're going to do. It's you. That's not me. My son Caleb is like me. He's introverted. He's not real talkative. You can clearly hear that. the The boy has been celibate his entire life. He's had girlfriends, but he's been celibate. He's not been with anyone yet by choice that he feels connected to. So there's a lot of characteristics that I have that he has. And I'm trying to do the best I can as his dad, knowing how I hurt myself as a young man when I started making lots of money. I'm trying to him because if he sees lots of money fall into his hands by his own efforts, I don't want to see him change for the worse. And money tends to do that. Money tends to corrupt, twist up, and change the perspective of wholesomeness to that of ego, pomp, arrogance, self-centeredness, and desire to be looked up to and worshipped. And that's all the characteristics I adopted as a 20-year-old when I started making money. I would have been a menace on social media back then. Like it would have been nuts. And that's the things I don't like about myself. I don't like those things. And I can tap into that sometimes to get things all stirred up, to get people paying attention and draw more people to the channel or to this Twitter space stuff. And I can teach them. And then I get new testimonies of how, wow, I didn't believe in you in the beginning. And I challenged this whole notion of what you think is making the markets go up and down. And now I'm convinced of it. And here's my payouts I just made. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Wonderful. No mentorship fees paid. No worship, no handshaking and glad handing in public. Not necessary. I want to invest in all of you and I want to see what you do with it. That's what this is. That's the economy here. You don't pay me. If you find something of value, just tell me thank you. That's it. That's all you got to do. That's it. And then show me what you did with it. And if it's a fucking car or a house, whatever, man. I'm not interested in that. I want to see I helped this family. I helped my family members do this. I paid their mortgage off. They would have never been able to do this. They're making barely